With Spider-Man Brand New Day finally here, I thought there was no better time to sit down and rank every live-action Spider-Man movie. Now, before we get started, I want to say this is my personal ranking. I know some of these movies are going to be controversial, and I know there are going to be people who disagree with me, but that's what makes Spider-Man so great. Everyone has their own version of the character that means something to them. For me, Spider-Man has always been one of my favorite superheroes, along with Batman. So this ranking isn't just about which movie is technically the best, it's about which movies captured the character, which ones gave us great moments, and which ones I find myself coming back to again and again. So let's get into it. Number 9 is Spider-Man 3. Now I know this movie has some things I enjoy about it. I actually think there are some really good ideas here. Unfortunately, the execution just doesn't work for me. The biggest issue is the way they handled Peter Parker. The whole emo Peter storyline has really become one of the most infamous parts of this movie. And while I understand what they were trying to do with the darker side of Peter, the way it was presented was just strange. Then you have Gwen Stacy being added into the story here in the third movie. And honestly, it just felt unnecessary. This movie already had a lot going with it. Sandman, Harry, Venom, and then adding Gwen just made everything feel even more crowded here. Speaking of Venom, this is another huge problem for me. Eddie Brock and Venom just never felt right here. Topher Grace is a talented actor, but this version of Eddie Brock did not feel like the character from the comics or what I wanted him to be. And then there's the black suit. I know this is a small thing, but as a comic fan, I was disappointed. The comic version of the symbiote suit is iconic with that giant white spider design. Instead, we basically got the regular Spider-Man suit turned black and white. Just felt like a missed opportunity there. There are some fun moments in this movie, but overall, it is my least favorite Spider-Man movie. Coming in at number 8 is The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Now, this one hurts a little bit because I actually think Andrew Garfield was an incredible Spider-Man. In my opinion, he perfectly captured both Peter and Spider-Man. His humor, his personality, and his movement as Spider-Man were all fantastic. The problem is the movie around him. The movie feels like it is trying to do too many things at once. Electro is a very interesting Spider-Man villain in the comic books, but the version we got here was really strange choice, and it just never really worked for me. Then there's the Green Goblin storyline. I like Dane as an actor, but the decision to skip Norman Osborn and immediately make Harry the Goblin was a weird choice for me and never really worked. One thing I do appreciate, though, is that the movie recreated one of the most iconic moments from the Spider-Man comics, and that was really cool to see. But it's also frustrating because we had to wait really over 7 years before we really got some resolution to that event in that story. Andrew Garfield deserved better material because he was honestly one of the best parts of these two movies. Coming in at number 7 is Far From Home. I was really excited for this movie because of Mysterio and Jake Gyllenhaal, and when this movie works, it does work. The Mysterio illusion scenes are really cool, but there are some big problems for me here. The biggest issue is that this doesn't really feel like a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man movie or even a Spider-Man movie. Instead of Peter just being Spider-Man, he feels more like an international spy. The whole Tony Stark connection also just becomes too much here. The glasses storyline and the amount of Stark technology involved creating problems, it just made Peter feel less like his own hero. I don't want Spider-Man to be Iron Man Jr. I want Spider-Man to be Spider-Man. There are some great moments here, but this is not the version of the character I wanted to see. And number 6 is The Amazing Spider-Man. I actually really enjoy this movie. The biggest strength here is clearly Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone. Their chemistry is probably the best romantic chemistry we have seen between Peter Parker and his love interest in any of these movies. You genuinely believe that these two characters care about each other. I'm also a huge Lizard fan, so seeing Kirk Connors finally get the big screen treatment was really cool for me. I loved seeing one of Spider-Man's classic villains finally brought to life in live action. I also appreciate that this movie focuses on Peter's early days and shows his first major failure. My biggest issue here is we really didn't need the origin story again and could have used that for other stuff. We had it told 10 years ago, they didn't really change much about it, so it just really felt less special here. But overall, I think this movie gets more hate than it deserves. Now coming in at number 5 is Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man's first MCU movie after Civil War. One thing I loved about this movie is that they finally trusted audiences. We didn't need to see Uncle Ben die again. We didn't need another spider bite. We could just jump into Spider-Man already being Spider-Man. Well, as much as he was Spider-Man. Michael Keaton's Vulture is also one of the best villains in the franchise. He feels like a real person with understandable motivations that makes him feel and seem much more interesting. My biggest complaint is the same issue I have with a lot of the MCU Spider-Man movies, the reliance on Tony Stark and mentors. I like Tony Stark. I like the MCU. But Spider-Man has always been a hero who has to figure things out on his own. So, let Peter Parker be Spider-Man. Coming in at number 4 is Spider-Man 2. I know a lot of people consider this the greatest Spider-Man movie ever made, and I can completely understand why. Alfred Molina's Doc Ock is incredible. He is one of the best comic book villains ever brought to the big screen, but there are some things that hold this movie back for me. First of all, Peter, please just keep your mask on. Seriously, there are so many moments in this movie where Spider-Man takes his mask off, and it just absolutely drives me crazy. He does it in a crowded area. He does it in just alleyway. Like, just keep it on, please. Also, the romance between Peter and MJ also never really worked for me in these movies. I just never felt the chemistry between the two actors here. And the whole storyline where Peter loses his powers, I understand what they were trying to do, but it just never fully worked for me. Love this movie. Just some small issues there I have. Coming in at number 3 is Spider-Man Brand New Day. And this is where I think Tom Holland finally became my favorite Spider-Man. For years, I wanted to see Tom Holland's Spider-Man just be Spider-Man, not an Avenger, not Iron Man's successor, not someone being guided by a mentor, just Peter Parker figuring things out and being the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. And this movie finally gave us that. We finally get to see Spider-Man interacting with the world around him without needing Tony Stark or someone else guiding him. There's a little bit there, but not a lot. This feels like the Spider-Man I have wanted to see since Tom Holland first put on the mask. One of my favorite things about this movie is that it genuinely feels like a comic book brought to life. There are so many shots and moments that feel like they were pulled straight from the pages of a Spider-Man comic. The way Spider-Man moves, the framing of certain scenes, and the overall visual style capture that larger-than-life comic book feeling that I wanted. It also reminded me a lot of the Insomniac Spider-Man games, that same feeling of just watching Spider-Man swing through the city, interact with regular people, and be a hero in his own world. It captures that fun, adventurous Spider-Man experience that fans have been wanting. My only major issue is the introduction of one particular character that I felt didn't really belong in this story. If that character wasn't included, this honestly might have been my perfect Spider-Man movie. But even with that small complaint, I absolutely loved this movie. This is the closest we have gotten to the Spider-Man that exists in my head from the comics and the games. Coming in at number 2 is Spider-Man No Way Home. Now let's be honest here. The story itself is not the most complicated or surprising. A lot of people could probably predict where this movie was going from the very beginning. But sometimes movies are about the experience, and the experience of seeing 3 generations of Spider-Man come together was incredible. Seeing villains from previous movies return was also amazing, but seeing Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, and Tom Holland together was something I never thought we would ever actually get. And the best part is that they just didn't bring them back for nostalgia. Andrew Garfield especially finally got some resolution to his Spider-Man story. Every time I watch this movie, I still get a big smile on my face. If I were to randomly throw on a Spider-Man movie, this is probably the one that I'm going to pick. Coming in at number 1 is Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. And honestly, this might surprise some people because I don't think this is the perfect Spider-Man movie. It might not even be my favorite version of Spider-Man. Actually, it isn't. Tom Holland now is. But this movie means the most to me, personally. I was the perfect age when this came out. I was already a comic book fan, and seeing Spider-Man finally come to life on the big screen was something I will never forget. That theater experience has just really never been matched for me with any Spider-Man movie. Tobey Maguire, Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin, Danny Elfman's music, the style and the feel of watching Spider-Man exist in the real world for the first time, it was just something special. This movie reminds me of being younger and loving these characters before superhero movies became what they are today. Sometimes the best movie isn't the one with the best effects or the best story or even the best version of the character. Sometimes it's the movie that makes you the happiest. And for me, that is Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. So that is my ranking of every live-action Spider-Man movie. Let me know your ranking in the comments because, let's be honest, Spider-Man fans always have strong opinions, and it's awesome to see different rankings. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you do subscribe, like the video, share the video, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.